Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I have the good fortune to be interviewing in person Rod Khleif. Rod is a multifamily investor, best-selling author, top-ranked podcast host who built a real estate empire and rebuilt it after losing $50 million in the 2008 crash. Today, he leads one of, if not, I'd say the most successful real estate investing coaching communities with over 260,000 student-owned units. Rod, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Seth. Let's have some fun today, brother.
Let's have some fun. So let's go back in time a little bit. In order to lose a $50 million, you had to build $50 million in the first place. So let's go back in time a little bit. How'd you get started?
Yeah, so I'm a Dutch immigrant. Think windmills and wooden shoes, right? And immigrated this country when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert and my mother's Vansha. Ended up in Denver, Colorado. We didn't have much growing up. In fact, my mom babysat kids, so we'd have enough, food to eat and whatnot. And I remember we shopped at an expired food store. Drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning. Trust me, it sounds better than it is. And I wore Goodwill hand-me-down clothes all the way through junior high school till I lied about my age when I was 14 so I could get a job at Burger King because you had to be 15 because I was tall, so I could buy my own clothes finally. And and I'm sure you've got listeners that had it harder than we did, and maybe even now with all the craziness have it hard now. But I knew I wanted more. And like I said, my mom had an incredible work ethic, so we always had a house full of kids. And with her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. So she invested in the stock market successfully, but she also invested in real estate. And her first real estate acquisition was a house right across the street from us. She bought when I was about 14 for about $30,000. Then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep, that had gone up in value $20,000. I'm like, what? You made 20 grand? You didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. So I was a capitalist right from the get-go. Well, I got into real estate. My first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. My second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which back in 1980 was not bad money.
I was going to say that was worth a lot more back then.
Yeah. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I worked for a guy, I was dating his daughter, that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology. And, how 80 to 90% of your success in anything is just your mindset. The rest of the technical stuff we talk about on our podcasts is, it's the smallest percentage of it. You actually have to do something with what you hear. And, fast forward to today, and I've spent 23 years with Tony Robbins, who's the best in the world at mindset, as you know. And, fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses I've rented long-term. I own thousands of apartments now. I'm getting into senior housing as well. And in 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And
that's a nice jump.
Well, and I thought so too. When I got a head so big, I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a real estate god. And
it's because you're a genius.
And when that happens, or you think that, God will give you a nice little smackdown. Well, that was 2008 and 9 for me. I lost $50 million conservatively, like you said. And so what I'm known for talking about on my podcast and at my boot camps is the mindset it took to have that to lose in the first place, but maybe even more importantly, the mindset it took to recover from that to the success that I'm blessed to have today. And so, happy to discuss some of those strategies with you, or take this wherever you want to take it, brother.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what were some of the most important lessons you learned from that experience, and how did it shape your approach to business and investing today?
Well, the big lesson was don't invest in single family properties. I mean, you can do it, but it's a slow go, and it's more, frankly, more risky. If you have a single family property and it's empty, you're 100% vacant. People say, well, I'm cash flowing $500 a month on my single family house. Yeah, well, when they move, you're going to spend $4,000 or $5,000 to fix it up again. So you're going to probably lose 10 months of your income, and you'll lose a month or two in rent. So you'll lose the whole year's profit. And I learned this the hard way. When I lost everything, I had 800 houses along the Gulf Coast of Florida here, and I had several apartment complexes, and it was the houses that pulled me down. And so that was a big lesson. Is it easier to buy a 20 unit or 20 houses? I can tell you in many cases that 20 units easier to buy than one house. And this is what I teach. And, I'll brag for a minute. My coaching students now, I think, own upwards of actually 300,000 units. We're counting, and we're in the 270 range. And I know there's a ton we're missing. I think 275,000. There's a ton we're missing. But regardless, it's multifamily. What I learned back then, when I look back on it, is my apartments did just fine. They pulled back about 11%, but I could have survived if I hadn't cross-collateralized those apartments with packages of houses. So I lost everything. And so those are some of the lessons I learned. But, to recover, I basically just reassociated with what I wanted, which is one of the first things I teach at my boot camps is you got to do your goals. You got to figure out what it is you want. You got to create hunger and burning desire so you push through your fears and get uncomfortable and, create that life you deserve. So, but that's the first thing I did was reassociate with what I wanted, right?
Amen to that. For someone who's just thinking about starting, let's say, multifamily real estate, what are the top 3 pieces of advice you'd give them to set themselves up for long-term success?
Well, don't dabble. If you're serious about this, get your ass to my boot camp. I've got a virtual boot camp every 30 days about practically, and I don't sell anything there, and you can come for less than $47. You can come for $47. So
You're not charging
There's
enough.
no excuse. There's no excuse. It's 16 hours of training for $47. So tell me your excuse. The bonuses are worth thousands of dollars. You get my deal evaluator software, my document library. And I mean, that was a self-serving question. That was a layup for me.
It was
there,
softball
that
for you.
That was a layup, but that's the bottom. I don't care if you learn from me. You can go to ChatGPT and learn as well. But the bottom line
Please don't go to ChatGPT and learn.
All right. Well, the bottom line is you need to educate yourself. Bottom line, that's it. It starts with the education. And don't be intimidated by it. There's a lot of different hats you can wear in my business. You can be the one that finds the deals. You can be the analytical one that underwrites them. You can be the mouthpiece like me that builds the relationships with brokers and sellers and investors. So a lot of different hats. You can be the one that manages the property after you buy it, asset management. Maybe you've got a construction experience or project management experience or any management experience for that matter. So there's a lot of hats you can wear. And I tell people, play to your strengths. Don't try to build your weaknesses. Your strengths are your greatest assets. And you do what you're good at and you love, and you hire a line or partner for your weaknesses. And, some of the best partnerships I've seen in my business, and I've interviewed some of the best operators in the world, really, here in the studio, let me say that again. You can cut that out so they don't know you're in my studio. I've interviewed some of the best operators in the world, and why was I going there? What was I just talking about? I completely lost my train of thought. What did I say right before then, Seth? Were you tracking me? Because I forgot.
You're hiring for build your strengths, hire for your weaknesses.
Yeah. That's right. So I've interviewed some of the best operators in the world, and some of the best partnerships I've seen have been an analytical person with an outgoing person, and that's a match made in heaven. So again, you want to play to your strengths, I think I went off the deep end there on your question, but did I answer your question?
You did. You did very well.
All right.
What do you think are the your key principles that make multifamily more resilient than stocks or crypto or anything else during economic downturns?
Oh, sure. Well, multifamily is actually going through a meltdown right now. The reason being is a lot of operators got adjustable rate debt.
Ouch.
And the interest rates are killing them. People that bought in 21 and 22, if you look at them from the outside, it looks like they overpaid because the interest rates have gone up, and so there's about $1 trillion worth of commercial real estate debt coming due, And I will tell you, when that debt comes due, you either have to sell or you have to refinance. Sales are down about 90%. Refinancing is very challenging because you have to meet what's called debt service coverage requirements. They look at the property's ability to service the debt, not your own debt to income. And these, at the current rates, they even with the recent drop, they still don't cash flow. And so there's a lot of distress. And lenders have been kicking the can down the curb, hoping the rates will go down quicker. The catchphrase with lenders is extend and pretend. So they're doing loan modifications and deferrals, but they're going to start taking these properties back. They've already started, and there's incredible opportunity coming. I mean, if you look at it as opportunity instead of distress, with crisis comes opportunity, right? And I'll give you an example of this. We've got an asset, Kellum Assets, an apartment complex in San Antonio. It's 200 units. It's on a lake. It's beautiful. There's a complex right next door. It's also on the lake. It's about 300 and some units. Sold in 21 or 22 for $43 million. Bank now owns it. It's down to 28, 43 to 28. It doesn't even make sense for us until it gets down to 24,
wow,
the current interest rates. But at 24, we're gonna be all over it. But the point is, that's what we're seeing, and so there's incredible opportunity in this business. And and here's the thing. I think there's a lot of incredible opportunity right now. There's 10,000 people a day turning 65. I'm one of them. I turned 65. I turned 66 actually in a month. But there's and a lot of businesses that these aging baby boomers own that they want to sell. So there's an opportunity to buy businesses. So if there were two of me, one would be buying businesses.
In addition to real estate.
Oh yeah, I love.
So we need to clone you.
Yeah, I think so. I wish because I love that. That's an exciting thing. And I'll tell you something. I don't know if you heard Elon Musk's latest interview with Joe Rogan, just the latest one. It's very interesting, and I suggest anybody watching this or listening to this to watch or listen to it. He talks about anybody that's working in front of a computer that literally within 2 to 3 years, those jobs are gone. AI is going to replace them. So I don't, he's a pretty smart guy. Even if he's halfway right, it's a lot.
Yes.
And so if that's you, if you're in the IT field, for example, I would encourage you to think about reinventing yourself. Think about what else you might do. Think about a side hustle that you get started now. You don't wait till the shoe drops.
Right.
And just start, learning other things. And if it's real estate, get your butt to my boot camp. If it's something else, go learn it. Learn it right now.
Got to dig the well before you're thirsty.
That's it. I mean, like I said, even if he's halfway right, I mean, the big, tech companies are already starting big layoffs, and they're the ones creating this AI. Amazon and Meta both had layoffs, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. I know you're using AI in your business in a big way. I know we are as well, and so just something to think about. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it's a crazy time we're in right now with this whole AI thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You talk about the importance of mindset and psychology as being the majority of what causes or creates or contributes to somebody's success, no matter what they do.
Agreed.
Talk a little bit about that and your work with Tony Robbins.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was able to have $50 million to lose because of mindset and psychology, and I was able to recover from that because of mindset and psychology. And I'm actually going through a little hiccup right now. I had an ex-partner run 23 of our apartment complexes into the ground. And so I'm dealing with another little seminar. I call them seminars. Okay, that was a $50
That's a
million
great mindset.
seminar. Yeah, I mean, it's an expensive freaking seminar back then, but I've built 29 businesses so far in my career. Several worth tens of millions of dollars. 2 right now are. Most were spectacular, flaming seminars. Okay, we fail our way to success. So if you're listening, don't fear failure. Fear regret. Fear being in the same place you are right now 2 or 3 years from now, unless you love where you're at right now. There was this nurse in Australia, Seth. I don't know if you heard about this woman. She was a hospice nurse. And so she took care of patients when they were about to die. And she asked them a question. She said, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it. It's like a bestseller, something like The 5 Regrets of Dying.
I did hear it, yes.
Yes. And the number one regret was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that. So don't fear failure. Fear that, right? But, on the psychological side, like I said, the first thing we do at my boot camps is goal setting. By the way, if you're listening and, people spend more time planning a Christmas party or a birthday party than they do designing their lives. Doing your goals is designing your life. On my link tree, if you go to rodslinks.com, or if you're driving, text the word links to 72345. That's links to 72345. At the bottom of that link tree, My boot camp site's there, so you can do that if you want. But there's a goal setting workshop. It's free. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. There's a guide you can download. Design your freaking life, or have your spouse do it. Have your kid, if they're over 10 years old, do it. It's incredibly powerful. You'll leave so motivated, and it's the perfect time of the year to do it. Okay, so I'd highly encourage you to do that, and because that's the biggest piece. Because so many people, are comfortable, and that comfort zone's a nice warm place, and nothing freaking grows there, right? So, sometimes you need a little push, and the goals is what you use. There was a second part to your question. I don't remember if I got it or not.
You did.
I did. Okay.
You did. Okay. You are passionate about giving back. Talk a little bit about the Tiny Hands Foundation.
Yeah. So this ties into Tony, actually. So I lived in Denver. I immigrated to Denver, but I knew I always wanted to live on the beach. Okay. And there's no beach in Denver, but I would visualize the sand and the surf and the palm trees and the waves and all that. And 20 years later, I built what's probably now about a $10 million mansion on the beach. And I owned the beach on one side and my boats were on the back side. And I lost it in all the craziness. And because God's got a sense of humor, it's literally right across the bay from where I live now. So it's very funny. But anyway, so this place was magnificent. I mean, like I said, I had the beach on one side, boats on the back side, sliced through an island. There was a waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get the pool. Pool was in magazines, and big spiral staircase up through the middle of it, wine cellar, elevator. On the second floor, I had aquariums built around the staircase. It cost me almost $200,000. So you get an idea of the place. It was pretty amazing. And 2 months after I moved in, so I worked for this thing for 20 years. 2 months after I moved in, I was floating in the pool at night, looking up at this testament to my ego, because it's really what it was. It was just to prove the world I mattered. And I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I got really depressed. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I've just achieved success like times 10,000. My beautiful family's inside sleeping. When I look back on it, I realized there were three things happening. One was you should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for the future. So I didn't have that. Second thing was happiness doesn't come from the goals. You need the goals to create that hunger or burning desire, like Napoleon calls in his book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. You need a burning desire. But what do they say? The happiest days of a boat owner's life, the day they buy it.
And the day they sell it.
The day they sell it, right. But you still need the goals to create the hunger. But happiness comes from progress and growth. That's how you're happy. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was a big piece. But the biggest piece was I'd been totally focused on me. Show the world I matter. Show the world I'm good enough. I had some things happen in school that made me think I wasn't good enough. And blah, 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 Rod. And that's the year I went and saw Tony, because I got one of his books, Tony Robbins. I got one of his books, and I got a few other books. I got to get back. I got to get my mojo back. And I got about halfway through one of his books, and I'm like, shit, I got to go see him speak. So I went and saw him live like 25 years ago. Saw that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. But I'm like, okay. So I called my brother in Denver. I said, bro, let's feed 5 families. I'm just going to go see him for Thanksgiving. And so he found 5 families by calling his church that really needed help. A third family changed my life, Seth. So we bought frozen turkeys and toys for the kids if they had them, big meal. And this woman was in this shack. We go up and knock on the door, and she sees all this stuff on the porch that we brought. She starts crying. Her kids come out. 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying, and I was hooked. And please know there's no ego in this. There's a real message in this, a success-related message, so don't tune this out. In the last 25 years, I've fed over 150,000 children here in our area for the holidays. Kids that wouldn't have a meal. I've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies to local kids that don't have the basic supplies for school. We've done thousands and thousands of teddy bears to local police departments for officers to keep in their vehicles if they encounter a child that's been in a traumatic situation. And Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment.
Yep.
Okay? Achievement's a science. You want to learn real estate, get your ass to my boot camp. You want to learn business, go learn business. Do what pick your vehicle and go learn it. But fulfillment's an art, okay? Figure out what juices you. For me, it's kids. It's also the elderly. Maybe for you, it's animals. Maybe for you, it's the environment. Whatever it is, give back right now, because that's how you're fulfilled. And, we've been taught in the society to achieve to be happy. And now this is a play on words, but when you're fulfilled, you're happily achieving. I have interviewed people with, mega millionaires with thousands and thousands of units in real estate, and I can tell if they're like I was before that epiphany I had when I was 40, and I feel sad for them because they're not fulfilled. They're totally focused on themselves. And So I formed this foundation. It's called the Tiny Hands Foundation, and I fed it until '08 when I lost everything. I fed 1,500 families, 3,500 kids in '08, and then I started taking donations. But it's also at Rod's Links as well. It is at Rod's Links, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yeah, so it's there. Every dime goes to this stuff. In fact, and then some from out of my pocket. But yeah, that's what life's about, right? Giving back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You talk about building a team.
Yeah.
As part of both, which would apply to both real estate and business, and the business of real estate. What are the key qualities you're looking for when hiring or partnering with others?
Well, actually, at Rod's Links, there is a great book called The Questions You Should Ask Before You Get in a Partnership or Before You Partner with Somebody. And those questions, partnerships like a marriage are easy to get into and hard to get out of.
Yep.
Ask me how I know. And so, you get excited in the emotion of it, but you need to step back and really, ask the right questions, ask the hard questions. But I look for integrity. That's the number one core value in all of our businesses, all of my businesses. Integrity is number one. We do what's right, even if it hurts. That's number one. But also look for enthusiasm and passion. Tony Robbins' famous quote, "Live with passion." That's my favorite quote as well. And so I look for that. I don't necessarily look for the technical knowledge. You can train the technical knowledge. I look for drive and passion, intelligence and integrity. And it's hard. I've hired hundreds of people, and I've made lots of mistakes. The other thing I would say is trust your gut. Your gut is so powerful. Your brain is so powerful. It can pick up on micro nuances that you're not consciously aware of. And every time I've ignored it, I've regretted it. There's a book called Blink.
Malcolm Gladwell.
It talks about how art experts can look at a painting and they know it's a fraud, but they don't know why they know it's a fraud. And it's the same thing with a person.
Pattern recognition.
If something doesn't feel right, trust it. Women obviously are better at this than men, but
Yeah.
but men, you can hone it as well. And so, but those are the things I look for. But yeah.
Fear you talk a lot about how you have to push through it, and fear, you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. Can you talk a little bit about how you decide what calculated risks to take?
Sure. Well, see, that's the thing about real estate. It's empirical. It's primarily numbers, which is why you want someone that's got some analytical chops on your team. I've partnered with CPAs and analytical people. Every deal's got a little bit of hair on it, it's called, a little bit of issue you got to deal with. But if you get all the numbers right and you ask all the right questions, it's pretty hard to make a big mistake. And again, if you go to that Rod's Links, the link tree that I have, there's a free book section, and there's just a ton of incredible books in there. They're not crap. They're really good. Some of them are best-in-class books. They're free. They're all free, except for my bestseller. My bestseller, you pay $6-7 and we ship it to you. And it costs me $30 to ship it. Don't think that I make money on that. It literally costs me $30 to ship it to you. That's a lead magnet. If you get it, then you might get emails from me. So, there is that. But it's a... But there's some really good books there about if you want to start learning the business, and there's some things there you can look at. Did I answer your question, or did I go off on deep end here?
You did. You've helped so many people.
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you're facing now?
Oh gosh, multifamily. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop because the deals are coming. I think next year could be the biggest year we ever see for opportunity. So I shifted gears a little bit, and I'm doing assisted living now. I'm going tomorrow to North Carolina to look at my second assisted living purchase, and so, I'm excited about that asset class. And so, I'm a shiny penny guy. That's why I've started 29 freaking businesses. Oh, there's a shiny penny. Let's shift gears. I have to be careful, because, when you're a serial entrepreneur like that,
everything looks like a good idea.
You can get it distracted. Exactly.
Yes.
So I have to temper that. But no, I'm looking at life through a lifestyle filter a lot more than I ever have, which I really enjoy. And I just became a grandfather 3 days ago.
Congratulations.
For the first time. So very excited about that. So that's pretty much it. I love what I do. I get love every single day. I get DMs, cards, emails, gifts every single day. I get hate every day too. Like, no one should have owned 800 houses. Yeah, well, no one should stay in their mom's basement and bitch either. But yeah.
But you know what? That brings up an excellent point.
Yeah.
You know, my wife follows a lot of these reality show people on, and they talk about the mental health issues from all of the comments. And I always thought they were ridiculous. And then I, for some reason, maybe because I was thinking that, actually got some hate on some of my posts. And I was like, I started fighting back. I'm like, what is wrong with you people that you have nothing better to do than criticize?
Right.
And if you had Googled me for 5 seconds, you would know what I was saying was true and it wasn't a scam.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
Well, you know, it only bothered me when they attacked my ex-wife, because I had a literally supermodel, beautiful ex-wife, and she's a beautiful soul, more beautiful on the inside than the outside. But she's just after you for your money. I'm like, no, she married me when I didn't have shit, you know. But that's when I'd respond more than any other time. My team would yell at me, just stay out of there, let them fight each other, let them fight it out. It builds the algorithm, you know, But sometimes I get sucked in, very rarely. Sometimes I'll respond and then I'll delete it when I'm like, oh shit, that's pointless. There's no point in doing it. You just gotta feel sad. There's a lot of little entitled pussies out there right now. I'm just being honest.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah, no, I think it's truth. It's sad, you know. It's a lot of men have lost their masculinity and they feel sorry for themselves because they don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps and make things happen. They sit and bitch about the economy. They bitch about politics, and we live in the greatest country on earth to create anything you want to create. You just got to want it, and you got to go do it. And so, I'll probably get some hate for that comment on your podcast here, but that's how I feel. And there's nothing you can't do, be, or have in this country. You know, if you live in Ghana or Africa or something like that, and you don't have access to what you have access to here, but here you've got anything you want. You just got to go do it, right? Would you agree with me?
I would agree with you.
Okay.
Your passion is obvious.
Yeah, well.
What do you like best about what you're doing?
Oh, the accolade. I have a wall in my one of my other buildings in my compound that's covered with thank you cards and hundreds of thank you cards. And I mean, I get love every single day. I've gone through all the stupid shit I thought was important, the Lamborghini and the Rolls and the Bentley and my only remaining vice is watches. I've got a ton of watches, but I get so much love. It's crazy. And so, I'm passionate about that. It's addictive, and I get recognized now. That feels good, I'm never going to get tired of that. But no, when you love what you do, work is play, and you never work another day in your life, and you're passionate about it, which passion's required to influence. So that's why I tell you, play to your strengths, do what you love, because then success is inevitable. If you hire a line or partner for where you're weak, I mean, this is why you'll see, a venture capitalist firm come into, somebody invents something cool, and you're very familiar with this business, and a venture capital firm will come in and they'll bring in the whole C-level team, because you need, the COO, the CFO, and even a CEO in some cases to step in, right? You agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's the same thing, have people play to their strengths. Success is inevitable.
Love it. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's incredibly valuable. One more time, can you tell everyone where to go to learn more about all things Rod?
Sure. Rod's Links is the best place. It's got everything, including the goal-setting workshop, my boot camp site. If the price is more than $47, just DM me. All my social is there, and I'll get you that price. Just let me know you heard me with Seth. And, a bunch of free books there. And, yeah, just whatever. Just let me leave you with this. Just go do it. Don't sit and wish you had. No regret. Go make it happen. Yeah, you may fall on your face a couple of times, but I've had, numerous failures. We fail our way to success. Don't fear failure. Fear regret.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.